All right. All right. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. This is your host, Eddie Hamilton. This is the Coaches Sanctuary podcast here. Another beautiful Thursday. No matter what the weather's looking like, it's always a beautiful day when we're live. So glad to have you here. Appreciate you all coming to hang out with you, guy. And man, I hope to have another good conversation here tonight to help build up my fellow coaches and anybody who decides to log in with us. But one of the main things is that we want to make sure that we're always helping our coaches, man, to build successful athletic programs by establishing a winning culture. Okay, with having the right standards is what we're focused on. So always excited to get on here and have this conversation with y'all. I do not take it for granted. Remember, for those of you that are, followers and supporters, remember you can subscribe on YouTube on the Coaches Sanctuary, and also you can go to major podcast platforms like Spotify and Anchor, and Google Podcasts and Stitcher and Amazon Music. Go there and you can log in and subscribe to the podcast. Okay, so thank you so much for supporting. Thank you so much for taking your time out to come in here and hang out with your boy. So we're going to jump right in. You see the title tonight. It's called Conversations with Your Players. Conversations with Your Players, which is something I believe that is critically important that we have conversations with players. And if we want to take it a step further, of course, there are conversations on the court and conversations off the court. And, what we want to do is be focused on a little bit of both on what type of conversations we should be having with our players, what type of questions we should be asking, what type of thought-provoking, probing questions that we should be having, and also, in conversations it involves listening and speaking. So there's times for us coaches that we should be listening to our players, putting them in position to teach them how to communicate, how to talk. Because y'all know we live in this era now. For me, it's always, texting and inboxing and all this kind of stuff here. And one thing that we're always going to need to be able to do in this time frame that we're living in is being able to have a conversation, to converse, to open up, and to be able to communicate. So conversation with our players, like I said, excited to be here. And we're just going to talk. We're just going to talk. One of the things with me that when I say that my goal here and my target audience that I have here is, of course, coaches at all levels, elementary, middle school, high school, college, man, even pro. Um, because, it says iron sharpens iron. We all have things that we can share to help each other to continue to grow. I can listen to coaches at different levels to get help from, and, as well as coaches can listen to me, we can glean from each other. But my focus here is to help coaches build successful athletic programs by establishing standards for a winning culture. And by me being focused on that and saying that is the direction that I want to go in my conversations, and when we get on here and we talk and we converse with each other, we convene, we commune, all those different things, is that I want to make sure that that is your understanding. That's where I'm coming from. That's the place I'm coming from. Um, and that being able to know that the heart that I have for the coaches that we have, that are here with me, that we're peers in this fraternity and sorority for our female coaches. Man, we need each other. We need each other. One of my concerns is that as time goes on in this entertainment and athletic driven society we're living in, is that people like me, okay, coaches like us, that, man, we're not human. We're not human. We're not human to people. When somebody shoots a coach over a 9-year-old football game, or you have parents that approach coaches after games because in your mind you have this goal for your child that's athletic driven, not character driven, not career driven, not personality driven, but athletic driven. And you approach coaches about and questioning how they do things and what they're doing and their plan that they have. It lets you know that we're living in a society that's lost. It just is. Um, of course, we do understand that we have dreams, we have goals, we have visions, we have things that we want to see our children to accomplish. But sometimes parents and guardians, are y'all really asking your child what it is that they want to do with their life? Are you really paying attention to what it is they're interested in besides just the sport? Because if so, I believe our conversations, our relationships can get better. It can get better. So moving forward, there's a little sidebar, okay? But moving forward, just wanted to talk tonight. So conversations with your players, coaches. I think that is very, very important. I know that it's important that we learn how to communicate with our players on the court and off the court, on the field and off the field. And I think it starts with us not assuming that every child that comes in is trying to be, a college athlete or a pro athlete, or thinking that's what everybody's after. Because I remember very, very, very vividly that when I attended Belhaven College in Jackson, Mississippi, my freshman year, um, I came in, there were 3 freshmen, and the rest were junior college transfers, and there was about 18 of us. That I had a classmate as a freshman who came in. We both were presented with red shirting that year, our first year coming in, because there was so many numbers. And I had no interest in red shirting. I wanted to play. I wanted to compete for an opportunity to play. And I can say this, part of the reason we had the conversation with the head coach was because, in my opinion, okay, I was doing pretty well. I had spent the summer working out with my cousin, Pastor Deatrice Lewis. Y'all check him out, Unity Church, on all social media platforms. He was on his way to the league. He was. He had a straight ticket. An injury kept him from his opportunity, and I was there with him. And during that time frame, I spent the summer working out with him. And I came in, and I believed that I was performing well, and I believed that I was causing a disruption. And so I was asked to redshirt because you had so many upperclassmen. Then you had this freshman coming in, but I didn't have any real goal outside. I just wanted to play. But then I had a classmate. I don't remember his last name, but his name was Paul. And Paul's goal coming in is that I am going to med school in 4 years. So that means I don't have time to redshirt. I want to play basketball. I want to compete. I want to have an opportunity to come in because in 4 years, Paul says, I'm leaving. He had a goal bigger than basketball. I didn't. So what wound up happening with me was I wound up medical redshirting because 2 weeks before the season started, I tear a ligament in my left foot. So with that, what winds up happening is now I can't play. So watch this, y'all, because I didn't have a real plan without just saying I wanted to play basketball. What wound up happening to me is while they were traveling and going on the road and going on trips and playing games, and I couldn't practice or anything and couldn't travel, I'm sitting in my dorm room at Belhaven College in Jackson, Mississippi. I'm miserable. And guess what happens to me? Basketball is now over. I decided I didn't want to stay. Why? Because I did not have a goal. I had no clue what I wanted to do in my life. I chose computer information systems as my major because it just sounded good. It was computers. It was the late 90s. It was 1998, and the computers were coming on hard. And, my dad was an accountant, and so he did accounting. He worked around computers. So I just chose something based on, a level of ignorance. I didn't know. So when basketball ended for me, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So now basketball is over for me because I didn't have a real reason why I wanted to play basketball. I just wanted to play. Now y'all stay with me. I'm going this direction because if I did not have conversation with my father, I don't know what I would have done. I didn't have this conversation with my coach or anybody else. I had it with my father. So I go home after I decide I didn't want to return to Belhaven, and I'm home for a tournament with my dad, Bossier tournament, historical tournament here in the Shreveport Bossier area. And I'm there, and while I'm there, I said to my dad, I'm sitting in the gym watching, and now basketball as a player for me is over because I didn't have any real goals with my life. So I have to figure out what I want to do with myself. And I look at my dad sitting in Bossier High, and I say, Dad, I want to be a coach. He said, well, son, be a coach. So then now I transfer. I have a top scholarship award awarded to me to come back to Louisiana from Mississippi. And I chose Northwestern State University. And I go and I pick PE, physical education, as my major, physical education and health. And now I'm on the road. Now I know what I want to do with my life. I want to be a coach. So I had a reason to stay in college. I had a reason to pursue something. I had something there because of a conversation that I had with my father. So when I go back in hindsight and I think about, being in high school and playing basketball and, not having any real goals, I go back and I'm like, man, if I'd have really known what I wanted to do with myself, I probably wouldn't have quit basketball because I would have a reason to continue on. But I didn't. And I'm grateful I had the conversation with my dad because now I have direction. I have a reason to go to school. Basketball wasn't enough for me to go to school. I had to have something more than just a game. But guess what? I chose a career to keep me around the game. Think about it. I wanted to be around basketball. I did. So now in this day and time, I can see clearly the opportunities there are to stay around the game. You have statisticians, you have media, you have trainers, you have administration, you have sports psychology, have all these different things that's going on around the game for those that want to be around a game and have a nice paying career to stay around the game, even though you're not a player anymore. So I'm saying all this to go in this direction because now in this position as a coach, I have what I call what's your plan A. And so coaches, I'm talking to you. We have got to probe and pick at our kids and ask them that when basketball stops, and watch how we put this question together, whether it's high school, college, or pro, when basketball or football or soccer or golf or whatever, when that ends, what is your plan? And I call it, what's your plan A? Because your plan A will help you be even more focused on the sport that you're interested in. Because you have a reason to play the game bigger than just the game. You have a reason to fight through injury. You have a reason to fight through, changes in coaches. All those things. Or if you're in a program that's losing all the time, you still have a reason. And it's very important, coaches, for us to understand that we need to take the time to have conversations with our players that are thought provoking, that we make them think, that we don't talk about basketball or sports all the time, and we talk to them about life. If everything's about the sport, what if that child is afraid that they're not going to make it at that sport? What are we setting them up for? Here in my city, how many MVPs and first team all city and first team all state guys didn't make it? I know somebody's going to be a little bit disturbed by me saying that, but I'm sure you're asking the question, why is it that these top players, so many of them, not making it at the sport? You know why? Because only 2% of high school athletes get college scholarships. 2%. And y'all have heard me say this before. So a lot of things that I say here, you're going to hear it because everything that I'm saying is going to help coaches build successful athletic programs by establishing standards for a winning culture. So yes, do we want to win games? Yes. We want to win district? Yes. We want to win state? Yes. Do we want to help kids get scholarships to play sports in school? Yes, we do. But what are we preparing them for when the sport stops? So what if you do get 10 players come through your program that play pro? So after they make that money and go pro, how do we prepare them to handle life when the game stops? Our conversations with our players, sometimes we have got to make it a part of our practice, pre-game, pre-practice, post. We're having conversations with our guys, getting them to think about who they are without the game. Y'all have heard me say this before. You have. Who are they without the game? Because what you're doing is now is by doing that, you're helping them build confidence in the character person that they are and not just in their ability. What happens? Think about it, former athletes. How hard was it for you to get over when not being in the gym with people yelling and screaming for you? How hard was that? Now you got to go to class, pick a career, get a job where people are not patting you on the back and saying, great job. Ooh, look at that 3-pointer. Look at that dunk. Look at that touchdown. Ooh, look at that juke. Look at that home run. How hard was it for you, former athletes, to adjust to life when people wasn't patting you on the back? It's just something to think about. So, coaches, for me, we have these conversations. We talk. And we go in depth in these conversations. Ask my players. We seriously have conversations some days where we'll cut practice short and we will talk about character, decision making, attitude, approach, being a husband, being a father, getting a career. We talk about those things. And I'm going to tell you what the result of it is. My players play really, really, really hard. If anybody knows teams that I coach, we play hard. And if you don't play hard, you can't play for me. And that's okay because we're all different. We all have our different standards. But it's just who I am as a person because I know when this sport ends, we need men that are going to fight for their families. Our conversations need to be in a place where we're always constantly keeping in front of our players about their role as a person. Because here we go. Coaches, think about it. Think about these times when you're frustrated. If you're a coach that spends times on different game plans for every game, and you go in and you get 1 or 2 practices in between games where you have certain type of defensive coverages, a certain type of offense that you want to run, things that you want to pay attention to during the course of a game, and then you have players that go out in the game and something happens in the game that they, for lack of a better term, they just punk out and just decide, no, I'm not going to do it this way, coach. I'm going to do it this way. Why? Why? Did I not make practice hard enough to prepare you for the moment? Or are you just so fragile mentally that you're going to decide to do something that nobody else on the team practiced for that week? See, the thing about it is that we have 3 pillars that we build our program on. It's trust, respect, and unity. Trust, respect, and unity. Every decision that's made every single day in the classroom, on the hallway, in the locker room, coming into practice, have you approach all those different things that we do, we talk about them because what you're doing is your teammates are learning to trust you or not trust you, respect you or not respect you, to know that you're unified with our overall goal for our program. Because my pastor always teaches that our life here on earth is about relationships. That's what it's about. And your decision making when you're on a team lets people know how you value the relationship with them. If you're a person that walks in the gym or on the practice field or wherever it is, and you walk in and you lethargic, or you come in and you mope through your drills, or you're not energetic and you don't show love to your teammates by telling them good job and pat them on the back and do those things in spite of how you feel every day, you're speaking to your team. And so as coaches, for us, it's our job to make sure we keep these conversations in the forefront, that we keep them out front, that we keep them out front, and making sure we're keeping it in front of our players so that they can intentionally be able to make sure that they're making decisions that is building trust with their teammates. So, coaches, our conversations with our players, we have got to make sure that when we're coaching and teaching, that it's not just about the game, because the game isn't that important to every player. It isn't. We have some players that have super talent and super ability, and then what we're doing is we sacrifice character for talent because we think that super talented kid is going to win games for us as coaches. And if we're looking at a kid and we just think that, hey, we're just going to try to just win games with that kid and we don't hold them accountable, what do you think winds up happening to that kid when they leave your program? Do a serious self-assessment on how many times that we've had kids that leave that played all the time for us, but they still wound up not succeeding or doing well in life. If you like me, I ask myself questions. Did I do enough? Did I handle this child the right way? Did I give him the tools that he needed? Because if so, we'll start to check our conversations. Every conversation can't be about sports. It can't be. It's not fair. It's not right because it's not reality. It's sad to know all the stats about all the sports and the players you know, and we don't know what's going on politically. We don't know what our racial climate is. We don't know what's going on in, because me, I'm learning how to look at stocks now. I'm in the real estate now. So now conversations are changing. Even as a podcaster, conversations are changing. Things I wish I would have known when I was 20 years old. So the things that now I'm having conversations with players now about business, about politics, about finances, about relationships. But guess what's happening with those conversations that are non-athletic based? Now, our communication with each other is improving because now the players know that I care about them more than the game. And then it's being fair and consistent. See, everybody who knows me knows that my quote unquote best player, whoever that is at the time, that if they tripping in class, I'll sit them down. I've done it. If they don't have the grades, if they have a D in the class and we got a game coming up and that D is still there, they know they're not playing. And they know it's coming from love. Because it's not fair for everybody else to go and bust that. And that's why, guys, I'm not tripping off of being a straight A student. Because having straight A's, that doesn't mean that you're smart. That's not what that means. It just means you're willing to do the work. It's not even about being smart. You're smart enough to do your work. I've had players where I've had teachers that told me, really good players, that were B and C students and SCs. And the teachers would say, Coach, that kid struggled, but he fought for that C. He wanted to get that C. He struggled, some things he don't understand, but he knew I needed to at least have this C in order to continue playing. And I respect it. I'll take it. But for some kids, a C is you just barely getting by. But you got to know your players. So even our conversations that are on the court or on the field, now those conversations are more in depth or more detailed about the game plan, about what we're trying to accomplish, because now they know they're having a conversation with their coach. It is not just about their game, even though that is important, but they know they're talking to somebody that cares about them. And they're willing to go out and execute what it is that you require them to do because of the conversations you've had with them off the court. See, I'm a person that believes it translates. I do. I don't think that one thing goes without the other. I don't believe that the way that you are off the court and on the court are two totally separate entities. That's me. I don't believe that. I don't believe it. There's a saying out there that says the way you do one thing is the way you do all things. Yeah, no. It all depends on who you're talking to. But ultimately, coaches, our conversations with our players, man, we have got to make sure that we are taking the time out to get to know our players off the court, off the field, learn who they are, what are they struggling with, what's their family situations, what are their goals. We need to know those things because those relationships matter. They just do. So coaches, take time. Cut a practice short one day. Ask your boys how they doing. Ask your girls how they doing. How's class going? What's going on with you? I'm telling you, you'll be surprised. You'll be pleasantly surprised. And you can see the relationship to start to open up, start to loosen up, and then they still respect you as coach, but also can look at you as a confidant, a person they can talk to and come to. So I encourage you all, my fellow coaches, my peers, my brothers and sisters in sport, take time to have these conversations with your players. Talk with them. Sometimes ask them a question, just listen to them. Let them talk to you. Because what happens is as that trust builds, the respect builds. And if the trust is building and the respect is building, then now you're unified. You're getting on the same page. They really want to go out and accomplish what it is that you have out in front of them. So try it out. So again, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Remember, you can subscribe on YouTube. You can subscribe on Spotify. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for joining in on all social media platforms, the Coaches Sanctuary, and also my personal pages are Eddie J. Hamilton. So thank you so much for spending time with me. I really and truly hope the best for each of you. The season's kicking off. We're starting off this Saturday with our first scrimmage. There's been scrimmages going on all week, so y'all basketball season is here. For me, I'm rooting. Our football team might make a deep run this year. So, hey, excited for them. When my ball players come in the gym, we're ready to rock. So, man, I hope the best for you guys. And, man, you take care of yourselves. Looking forward to the next opportunity. Thank you again for support. All right. Good night.